Welcome, everyone. My name's David Bayes with Cavalier Associates, and today I'm joined by Sam Logan with Nationwide Financial, and I'm really excited about this one. We're going to talk about one of the most underutilized yet most powerful tools in financial planning today, leveraging eMoney for long-term care planning. Too often, long-term care is treated as an afterthought, something we'll get to down the road. But when clients are actually shown visually and mathematically how a potential long-term care event impacts their retirement income, their estate, and even their family dynamics, the conversation shifts. It becomes real, and eMoney allows us to demonstrate that reality in a way that clients can actually see and feel, not just hear about. Sam is going to walk us through what that looks like in practice, how advisors can actually use eMoney to open these meaningful conversations, highlight risk, and ultimately give clients a sense of clarity and control. Sam, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
And Sam's going to give us the walkthrough. And what I mean by that is we're going to go through some of the high level pieces of this. And if you want to learn more, just reach out to us and we'll plug you in for a one-on-one training session with Sam, because there's some little things you got to do on the back end to really make this system sing. So Sam, go ahead and share your screen. Walk us through how this works.
So first, I am actually going to kick off with our map. So some people may or may not be familiar with this. What this is the state-to-state long-term care costs. And you might be saying, why is this important and why am I using this in eMoney? What I like to do is when we're sitting in front of clients, and as David said, we're trying to show them the impact. What is either the financial, emotional, or holistic impact to having a long-term care event? When we are building out this event in the client's portfolio, I have found there is more success when you show them as close to real world dollar impacts as we can. So this is why I bring up this map, and I love to highlight this map, and I'll go through some of the features and then let you know what you're going to take from this to plug into eMoney. So I'm going to pick on the state of California. That's where I'm at, but you can pick on any state that you're working in, wherever your clients might be living. And the main reason I say that is there might be clients you're working with right now that could be in their 30s and 40s and they're looking towards retirement. If they're planning on moving to another state for retirement, I like to highlight the state they might potentially be living in, because again, we're trying to show them what the cost of a long-term care event could be in the future. So if they're currently living in North Dakota and they're going to move to Arizona, might want to show them what the Arizona costs look like. I'm going to pick on California. First thing I want to highlight here is when you are working on a state and you're in this map, there are different regions that you can select. And you might say, why is this important? Selecting the metro region closest to where those clients are is important because in states, depending on where you live, is going to drastically change the cost that you could be seeing for a long-term care event and the support needed due to the resources in that area. So in California, if you kind of move around, you can go from Bakersfield to LA. As you move, you're going to see those costs going up and down depending on what's available in that region. So I am just going to pick on LA Long Beach. The other area is this little future cost right here. When we're showing these long-term care events in the planning software in eMoney, we want to show them in the future, depending on their age. Most people are starting to show around age 80 where an event might take place. Depending on your client's family histories or their concerns, you could show all the way starting at 70, maybe 85, but 80 tends to be the sweet spot right now. I'm just going to drill out 20 years so you guys can see how those costs are changing. The other area I want to highlight down here is this little dial bar. Why is this important? When we're doing an ADL long-term care claim, most people are trying to stay at home potentially with an ADL event. ADL events might be, in that 3 to 5 year range. Maybe someone hurt their hip, something happened, they need the help at home. A lot of people are saying, show me what it would look like to have someone in my house helping me or someone around helping me 40 hours a week, where maybe my primary caregiver is at work or they're at their job or they have other things going on. So you can show them, okay, if someone had to be around for 40 hours a week, this is the cost we're looking at on an annualized basis. Now, if someone has maybe a cognitive event or an ADL event that is going to take longer or maybe need round-the-clock care, or they're moving into a nursing home or assisted living, you're going to want to make sure you dial that up because that is true round the clock care. We have someone coming around the clock taking care of them, or they're living in a facility, and you want to make sure we're dialing up and down those hours to show that cost.
Appreciate this map because you have the Napa versus like El Centro, and
Yeah.
the wine they serve at the nursing facility in Napa is far more expensive
Much
than the
more
wine you're getting in
expensive.
El Centro. So I think that's really important to note. And then the other piece to this, when you're dialing it up, I have these conversations every single day, and some events you march right into that higher cost, right? You mentioned like a memory care type facility, right? Like that right off the bat, it's $12,000 because it's full-time care, it's around the clock. There's a lot of management needed there. But most of the time when somebody's kind of entering that long-term care zone, like that's a gradually increasing cost, which I think just layers into this story plus the eMoney kind of pulling those two things together and kind of seeing what that does to portfolios. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with the map. I think it's great.
I also think this helps a lot of those conversations with the clients who are like, well, I'm going to self-fund. I heard someone say it perfect. Yes, you are going to self-fund through your premium dollars for your long-term care policy, but it is truly showing them if you are staying at home and let's say you need that round-the-clock care, maybe you have caregivers coming in, but maybe it is your family. And we have to think of, I always like to say the human cost plus the dollar cost. If it is your family taking care of you, they might have families, they might have jobs, they might have people, they're taking away time. We always say time is money. People taking time away from their lives to care for you. Of course, we all do it because we love you and you're our family members, but there is a human cost in addition to the dollar cost. So I always like to show this of the self-funding. Also, you start to play that. Okay, you're looking at $500,000 a year on top of the cost that maybe be impacting your families or taking time away from work or their families. And so it kind of brings it holistically around for the client to see that there is costs associated dollar-wise, but also family impact. And I also tie it back to that legacy planning of, maybe you want to self-insure the long-term care, but you're also telling us you want to leave that legacy for the family member. Well, if you're self-funding the long-term care event and they're helping taking care of you, they're almost getting a double hit because the legacy you're trying to leave is being taken away by the dollars, but they're also losing that time maybe with their family, and that family piece of it that kind of ties back into there are reasons to have that protection in place. And that's why I think this is important to get those dollars. And now you sit in front of that client and say, I'm going to show you this impact in eMoney, but I wanted you to see that I'm really focusing on where you are, where you live, and what your impact will be.
Yeah, I think, one or is the emotional piece and the other or is the financial piece.
And the emotional piece tends to get people a little bit. Then say have those discussions, and it does help to get people to start to understand the need for that coverage. So now we'll get into the fun part. As David said, today is high level. There are quite a few inputs in the advanced planning sections that are required to model this. So feel free to reach out to David, myself. We will get together, help you work through building this out for your actual clients. But I do want to show you the impact this system can help you have when you're sitting in front of your clients to show them what that long-term care event is going to do to their portfolio. So first and foremost, basic standard client portfolio. I'm not asking you to reinvent the wheel on this section. Build out the information like normal. None of this is changing. There's just some areas that I like to highlight in here to help with the discussion with the client around long-term care. So as they're going through and they're telling you what their goals are, what they're trying to do in retirement, naturally the clients are going to start to tell us concerns. We're going to start to hear, well, there's family history of Alzheimer's, or we're worried about having a health event, or we're worried about health issues as we get older. As they're adding in their goals, keep in mind that, okay, they're probably giving me little tidbits that they are worried about something coming up in the future. I love to drop down to this observation and next steps. And I always tell everyone, have like your pre-planning meal or pre-planning meeting with the client, then kind of say, okay, I'm going to step away. I'm going to get ready for our next meeting, which one we're going to present them what this event could do. But I love this section right here. So this allows you as the advisor to put in your observations and say, in speaking with you, I see you want to leave a legacy, but there are concerns about future health events, maybe needing to go into a nursing home, maybe someone developing Alzheimer's, dementia, something along those lines. I hear that. I see that. I'm letting you know I see that as a concern, but it's okay. In these next steps, I have a solution. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Forget all of our other planning, forget all of our other investing that we're talking about. Today, we are focusing in this modeling on that LTC event and how we protect you. And that allows them to say, now we're going to jump into the plans, and this is where I'm going to show you what that could be. So when we are in here and you're in the goal planner, decision center, making their plans, you're going to add a plan just like you would standard add a plan, and you're going to make for this option a couple different plans, and you will see why when I get into the goal planner. When I start with the LTC discussion, I always start on the goal planner. When I click on this, you are going to see why. I love to call this kind of the client gut punch moment. It's when my little dials start to do what we need them to do and create that visual impact that the clients need to see. Again, they can hear us as advisors and financial professionals say, you need protection, you need protection. Some of them need to see that. So when we click on the goal planner.
And this is really the gateway. You talked about it's what your goals are, leave to heirs versus retirement. This is really the gateway to that like legacy conversation. So whether you're the advisor who's dealing with G1 or G2, this is how you go north or go south. It's this conversation right here. It's this piece to the puzzle is how you start getting that multi-generational family account, not just the one.
100%. And I think what I've noticed through these conversations, and even I have had some situations where I've helped an advisor, not in the client conversation, that's where I love to step out, but help him get to that point. And it's really getting them, the younger generations are starting to see it too. So now you're starting to see people, maybe, long-term care was tending to have that discussion around 60s and 70s. Now people in their 40s and 50s are also starting to say, well, if this is something we can afford, do we want to maybe get this in place while we're younger? Could maybe get a better underwriting offer, set ourselves up in a better position. So you start to drop down into that G2, G3, some people in the G4 range starting to notice that costs are increasing and we really need something in place to help with that.
It's my two favorite questions for long-term care is who's going to take care of you and do they know?
Right. And I think that's such an important question. And I know that the people who have gone through it know what the impact that it could be. And, there are studies and stuff coming out of the effects of the caregiver. And that's the other thing you have to keep in your mind of what are the technically or potentially long-term effects on that caregiver that they, once you're gone, unfortunately, if we're gone, we're all going to be gone someday. What does that leave for them? Because they loved you so much, they put all their effort into taking care of you, and now they're kind of left too with this after effect of being a caregiver. So it's having those discussions too as you're doing the legacy planning, that those people might be your caregivers, and we want to make sure that everyone's set up. And kind of going back to the wine, what nursing home do you want to end up in? If you eventually end up there, you're going to have have that plan in place to say, what can I really afford at that time? And that's why having the long-term care policy is basically essential, because you're kind of picking what success you have if you have that event.
Do you want the Camus or do you want $2 Chuck? It's a conversation.
And when I say it's personal, we live in the LA area, and my husband's mom is going through an event, and she is in a nursing home, and the cost is something I would have never even dreamed of, and that's in 2025. So now it has me thinking long term, when we're another 20, 30 years down the road, what is that going to look like at that time? So definitely something that kind of floats back there in the back of your mind.
Astronomical here, and they're astronomical in a lot of places, so
they really are. I will caution everyone, little warning, Alaska is almost at $1 million a year right now. So if you people that are potentially thinking of retiring to Alaska, might be worth the conversation of retire in the lower 48 and visit Alaska, because it all just comes down to the amount of people available to provide the care. And unfortunately, in some of these areas, in more rural areas, there's just not the support available that we see in some of the larger metro regions. So as I said, client gut punch, this is it. This is where you get to sit in front of your client and say, we planned perfectly. And I like to say, if you're at 85% or above, you're looking good. If you're in that green zone, we want everyone to be in green. So you can say, we planned right. We did what we were supposed to. The investments are where they are. Everything you want to do into retirement, we've nailed it. but I'm here to help you prepare for the what if. The what if something goes wrong. Goes along the same lines of why we all buy homeowners insurance and car insurance. What if the unimaginable happens? What does that do to us? For these clients in particular, it drops their probability of success down to 70%. So now they're of what they were planning and hoping to be able to do, 1/3 of that is gone. It now has to go to your care. The money is gone. You don't have it for what you were hoping to do in retirement. You don't have it there to continue to make money for you and fund other things in retirement. That money has to come from somewhere, but that's okay. That's why we're here. That's why we're having this discussion. That's why I'm showing you. If we add on a Care Matters or long-term care policy, we can get right back up to what you were hoping to do in retirement, back up to 100% probability of success. And that's even with you paying that long-term care premium. That's what kind of trips up a lot of people is they tend to be single premium, short pay. It is a more expensive policy to purchase as it's usually a lump sum, but it shows that you take that out of your portfolio, 20, 15 years before the event, everything is still growing. We're okay. We have that event. And because that money is set aside, you're not touching anything else that we had in place to continue to grow for your retirement, and you're still good to go. And then we love to show one other layer of the what if I buy it and never use it. We show that here too. Again, you're paying that cost up front. You are losing that premium. You're really paying yourself the premium, but that premium is going to pay for the policy. But if you never exercise the Care Matters policy to use the LTC portion, because it is that true hybrid product, there is that death benefit there. So your family is still receiving that legacy portion of what you were trying to leave for them. Even if you never use the LTC benefits, you have that there. If you do use the LTC benefits, it still does come with a guaranteed minimum death benefit. So either path that happens, you have some chunk of death benefit out there, but if you have that LTC event, you have those funds in place to help support that event. So this is why I like to show this high level section in the goal planner. I think visually for clients, this helps them see what that impact could be. Then you're welcome to dive into the decision center, which helps them see the cash flow a little bit more. So if someone's like, I want to see when this event's taking place, what it looks like, what happens if we change between the different plans, this is where you can drive in and start to drill down and show them where they can expect to see those costs leaving their portfolio to pay for that event and then the overall loss. And it allows you to say, but again, it's okay. We're planning for this. You have that event. We have the Care Matters policy in place. We're right back up to where we were hoping to be because that money is coming from the policy to pay for your long-term care event, and you are still able to grow your portfolio as expected. So again, when we're in this, when you're in the plan section, always start with that goal planner that helps them see that side-by-side moment. I'm dropping from green into yellow, then jump into the decision center and start to show that cash flow. So the main reason today, I'm not diving into the advanced planning. And as David said, reach out to David, reach out to me. Happy to walk you through it. When we get into advanced planning for these types of situations, there is a lot more details that have to be built out in the background that I want to make sure you're building out to have the correct successful outcome for your clients' plans. So don't have the time necessarily to go through all of this today, but it is out there. So if you are building a plan and it's not quite working right, there might be some missing pieces in the back. So go ahead and lean on me, lean on David. We'll get you through this so that you can see how to potentially develop this for your clients. And I am always here to support the build outs, what you're looking for. Love to tell everyone when you are starting this build out, again, just start with their base financial plan. Have that LTC illustration with you so you know what your benefit looks like, what that premium cost might be, and then make sure you reference this map to ensure we're showing the right year it's starting and the cost that we're expecting them to show. So overall, this is how to use eMoney to model what an LTC event could do and how we protect against it. And I appreciate you all listening today.
Sam, thanks so much. I mean, what I really love about this is You're taking something that is sometimes ethereal or very conceptual and oftentimes even a bit complex. And by bringing it into eMoney and incorporating it on the same field with the rest of your portfolio, you're really taking that complexity and transitioning into clarity, right? And the clients are really able to walk away, feeling more confident in their understanding of why am I doing this, right? Other than just kind of just trusting somebody or maybe taking a leap of faith in it, they really get to see the hard numbers of why this works, why it's being suggested to me, right? And if I'm not going to do it as the client, then okay, cool. Well, at least I have a really clear picture and I know what I have to do. I know what I need to set aside, right, in order to achieve that. So whether you essentially are going with the insurance and the leverage or not, this really gives you a better picture, a better mindset of where I need to position that money or how I need to position that money.
And we have had some advisors joke that, I might just print this off and send it with my clients and kind of say, hey, I told you needed this. When you call me in 20 years and say, how are we funding this? And you chose not to do that, I can say, oh, we had that conversation. We needed to have something in place. So a little bit of safeguard there too. We're constantly in the financial industry. We're trying to hedge our bets against bad things happening, whether it's life insurance, long-term care insurance, something being out there to help these people be financially sound into the future. So it also gives them peace of mind to say, I've shown you every scenario. I'm here to consult with you, tell you what I think would work. At the end of the day, the clients are going to decide, but we've literally shown them every potential avenue of what could happen and how to plan against it.
And it really simplifies. I mean, it really is a partner with the illustration. I mean, the illustration is long. It's 42, 47 pages. Like nobody wants to read that. But when you take the coverage map, the cost of care map, I saw that you can print that out. Yeah. You take that cost of care map, here's where you're going to live, here's where you're living, where you want to live, etc. Here's what that cost looks like. Here's the eMoney printout. Here that goes with it, right? It all goes in the folder together. The decision is yours, but at least you're very, very well informed on what's available to you.
And that cost of care map is wonderful. And I do want to let everyone know, great bringing that up again. That is client friendly. You do not have to have a login for that. Anyone can access that. Advisors do not have to log in, and it's mobile friendly. So I think that gives more avenues of like, take this away and go look, like go see what these costs look like. But it really does. And I really think there is something to be said of giving those clients those tools. And I know we live in a paperless world now, but I've printed you the reports. I have shown you these reports. Take the time to digest it. But I will say, for some reason, that little pendulum swinging gets the clients. When they start to see that dial drop into the yellow and the red, that's when they start to get their wheels spinning and say, oh, maybe there is a need for a protection or some sort of protection in place. And I will tell everyone, it's not always going to be a drastic swing down to 70. It might be further down to 30. It might only be into the low 80s. We're just trying to show that ebb and flow of what's happening to their portfolio and how we get them back on track to what they were hoping to do.
Sam, look, I really, really appreciate you taking your time out of your day. I know you are extremely busy. It took us over a month to get this one on the calendar. So again, I was excited for it, looking forward to it. I'm very, very happy with this. And if you are interested, advisor, if you are interested in how to incorporate long-term care planning into eMoney, I can connect you with Sam. We can build that out inside your own portfolio, inside your own portal there. And then if you're just interested in, hey, look, I want to add long-term care into my practice, I'm hosting a number of meetings in Southern California almost every month on care planning, small group sessions. We can get one-on-one, and then we can take that and layer in the eMoney piece and bring all of that together. So again, feel free to reach out to us. You can email me, you can DM me on LinkedIn, however works out best for you, but we look forward to working with you soon. And Sam, thank you again.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone.